Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight to talk about many things that touch my heart, and I'm sure that there are many things that touch your heart as well. Especially when it's in relation to the exposure of truth and the exposure of lies. For centuries we have been lied to. We must understand that the pen of the historian is always manipulated and unbiased, or rather bias. I hope you understand those two different words, bias and unbiased. The word bias means supported by an ideology or a political factor or faction. Something that, let's take, for instance, pharmaceutical medication. How much medical research is committed outside bias opinion? It's a capitalist market, and so we must understand that even the historian, the professors and the academics that write our history, they have a sum to tell. They have a sum to calculate. And you will find that that sum that is calculated is always calculated with the perception of future generations. And so we can therefore vouch tonight that many of the historical theses or historical research is manipulated and controlled by bias opinion. And I'm sure you know that we see many universities, they have this peer research facility. They have the rules of writing history, but let's just take, for example, the history of the Second World War. I'd like to know how many historians actually spoke to Hitler's front men. I'd like to know how many academic people actually consulted Hitler's front men when they were gaining factual evidence in regards to their thesis and to their book that they were writing. So these are the questions that we must ask. These are the questions that we must ask. And let's look at the picture on the screen. What do we see there? It says communism. Communism. A very interesting point. A very interesting ideology. What are the roots of communism? Where did it come from? Did it come from 1936, the Bolshevik Revolution? This is what we tend to remember, or we tend to cite the Jewish Bolshevik Revolution that took place in Christian Russia in 1936 as the premise of all communism. And we fail to trace this ideology back to the ancient library of Alexandria. The ancient library of Alexandria in Egypt, where it was the it was the cabal, it was the Jewish cabal that studied within the library of Alexandria in Egypt, and it is it was from that era of academia where the Talmud and communism comes branched. So the seed of communism, it dates back to Christ. The seed of communism dates back to the pre-birth, post-birth, the death, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we all know that it was the Jews that killed Christ. So tonight we're going to be talking about communism. We're going to be talking about the ideology. We want to know the seed of communism. We want to know the perpetrators of communism. We want to know if this ideology that has slaughtered millions, 70 million Russian Christians were slaughtered during the Russian Revolution. I'll repeat that again. 70 million Christian Russians were slaughtered by this system during the Russian Revolution. It was the royal Tsar, it was the royal monarchy that was rooted out of its sphere of rulership, and a proxy government which was, after the order of communism, put in the place of the Tsar. And of course that is the Russian Orthodox Church. So the Russian Orthodox Church, it was the government. It was the government in 1936. And it was those 10 Jewish Bolsheviks that filtered in from Europe with over $10,000, which was a lot of money in that day. With over $10,000, those 10 Jewish Bolsheviks, they went into Russia and they started a revolution. Tonight we want to talk about that. We want to know where communism was, and we want to know where communism is. Yeah? So was is past tense, is present tense. Do we have a form of communism existing in our day and age today? And ironically, we can say, yeah, it is. It's there. We're living it. Okay, let's talk about. Let's talk about this. Let's read this word together. Let's read what it says here. These are the words that John F. Kennedy spoke on the 27th of April 1961, and it is renowned as the Secret Society speech. And this is what he says. Let's read this together. The very word secrecy is repugnant. Repugnant. Interesting word. Repugnant. What does that word mean? Repugnant. Repugnant means a foul smell. Yeah? Something that that has a foul smell. The very word secrecy is a foul smell, a foul scent. In a free and open society. That's true, right? What is there to fear in a free and open society? If each and every one of us was honest, would there be anything to fear? If each of us were loving towards each other, would there ever be a need for secrecy? And I believe that this is what President Kennedy was actually saying. Further on, we are as a people inherently and historically opposed to secret societies. Very interesting words. He said inherently. We as a people inherently. What does that mean? He's talking about common sense, folks. He's talking about an innate experience, something that's built within, something that we all know to be true, something that we all know that is honest, that is full of integrity. That's what he's saying here. He's saying that we understand that we as a people inherently and historically are opposed to secret societies. He's saying that it's not normal, that this act of cloak and dagger it's repugnant. It's unlike normal humanity. It's unlike human behavior. It's a foreign trait, folks. It's a foreign trait. To have a secret society means that you have something to hide and you have something to gain. Hide from who? Hide from those whom they don't want to know. It's obvious that you've got an agenda, right? Why would you want to have a secret society? What's the whole idea of it? It's an agenda, right? It's like, yeah, I want to be on top. I want to have something against my enemy. This is the mindset of the secret societies. You are the enemy. This is their mindset, folks. Their mindset is that you are an enemy. And so, therefore, we have this ideal that secret society, let's continue, opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. So it's obvious that Kennedy knew something was going on behind his back. I could further elaborate here, but just because we have a certain amount of time to go through this, I just want to stick to the brief understanding of what he's saying. Secret oaths. We are historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths. Okay, so there must be an oath. I mean, you know, obviously that when we make an oath, we are making an allegiance to a specific entity, right? So you want to understand, who is the entity? Who is the entity that these people are making an oath to? Why does it have to be secret? Yeah? I mean, if you wanted to make an oath to your family member, let's say that you want to make an oath that you would not be in rebellion to your mother because she looks after you, she takes care of you, she cooks for you, she makes your bed, she clothes you, She brings you up as a child. And of course, therefore, the only oath that we'd want to make would be for everyone to know that you have a loving and caring mother, right? A secret oath, yeah? And further on, to secret proceedings. Very interesting. So the secret oath leads to secret proceedings. Did you get that? How is it possible ever for the civilian? How is it ever possible for humanity to be on the same playing field when you have a secret oaths and secret proceedings unknown to you? And I'm sure that we can all take this and apply it to so many different entities and government policies and government agencies. And I mean, let's take the legal counsel, yeah? The law administrative office. I mean, wouldn't you want to be sure that when you go into a court trial, that your best interests would never be at stake, and that the people who are looking after your case, that they are people of honesty and integrity? But the fact is that Mr. Kennedy, President Kennedy, is saying that this is not the procedure. This is not the case. And he was opposing it. He was opposing secret societies. And then he further says, he says, our way of life is under attack. Our way of life is under attack. Did you understand that? Our way of life is under attack. So President Kennedy is identifying a foreign, poisonous, destructive organization. Our way of life is under attack. He wasn't talking about America. He wasn't talking about civil defense. He wasn't talking about protecting the boundaries of the United States. He was talking about life in general, folks. This is what he was talking about. Our way of life is under attack. So he is saying that life can never, ever be normal. Normality is out of the question when secret societies are making secret oaths and having secret proceedings. He says it's impossible. It will never happen. And that's why our way of life is under attack. Oh, look at us today. Look at us today. Are we under attack? Who would ever think that the state would ever have the power to commit itself, to identify itself as God on earth, and to identify anyone who does not recognize that as an enemy, the enemy of the state? Brothers and sisters, this is a communist. He's talking about communism here. He's talking about communism. And the only reason why he identifies communism is because communism has come from a long lineage of history.
Upgrade to Radio Tunes Premium today and enjoy over 90 channels
there you go.
of music with absolutely no interruptions. You also get extra benefits too.
I'll let this go through.
Better quality audio and unlimited listening on your favorite hardware players and devices. Visit radiotunes.com/premium and upgrade today.
Okay, that was not a plug for the radio station. It's just something that I'm using on my internet. Okay, so let's continue on. Those who make themselves, let me just mark that, those. You see my cursor? Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. No war ever posed a greater threat to our security. So this is what he's saying. President Kennedy is saying here that if there was ever a war to fight, it is the war against communism. And he's saying that the war, that this communistic element, we have more to fear from it than literal war itself, where armies of people combine together to fight and kill one another, So he's saying, that's what he's saying here. And he's saying that it's advancing around the globe. Folks, he's saying it's advancing around the globe. Communism is advancing around the globe. No war ever posed a greater threat to our society. So it's obvious that this, I don't know how I can put it. This poison, this threat, this ideology. Let's continue on. If you are awaiting a finding, here he goes, let's read this together. If you are finding, or rather, if you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear and its presence has never been more imminent. Clear and present danger. Oh, we remember that movie, don't we? Harrison Ford, Clear and Present Danger. But I'm absolutely sure, I don't think that Harrison Ford represented what Kennedy was saying here. Kennedy says that it's a danger that has never been more clear and its presence has never been more imminent, more clear. Brothers and sisters, we must rise up and we must expose this. We must make it clear to the people what communism is. And we must oppose it. We must oppose its presence, for its presence has never been more imminent. Let's talk about its presence. I mean, look at our society today. Unbelievably, we have this Marxist, socialist ideology that is seen in Hollywood and media, and it's seen within the mainstream media. You know, the people with this leftist ideology. So you might as well call me up. Well, maybe I am I'm not democratic, but I'm conservative. I think it's safe to be conservative. I think it's sane to be conservative. Let's continue on. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. Wow. A monolithic. What a word. Monolithic. Well, mono means single. One. That means that it has one agenda. What's the agenda, folks? Who are these people? What is their agenda? Is it the death of our society as it stands? A free and open market? A lot of us tend to recognize capitalism as what should I say? It's conservative. But if you have $1 million and you have 90% of that $1 million going to a few people at the top, it doesn't really make it worthwhile, does it? You know, this ideology of well, you know, we take the riches, we take the spoils, we take the resources of the earth, and we distribute it freely amongst the community. That's communism. That's the ideology. But that never works. It didn't work in 1936. Communism is capitalism, brothers and sisters. That's what it is. It will always work out where there is a few people at the top and the people down the bottom, well, they're not heard of. We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless. Wow. It's a ruthless conspiracy. You know what ruthless means, right? That means no integrity, no ethics. No ethics, folks. No mercy. That's brainless. You're brainless. To have this ideology, to have this inhumane, ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means. Once again, it goes back to this, doesn't it? The secret oaths and the secret proceedings. This is what he's talking about here. A covert means for expanding its sphere of influence on infiltration. There it is. Infiltration instead of invasion. That's their secret. Their secret is the charlatan. Yeah, the charlatan. You know where he comes. The enemy, you know, the enemy poses himself as one of you, and he infiltrates his ideology, or rather, he infiltrates his presence amongst us, while in reality, he has a total alternative agenda. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that unwanting? I mean, you would have to be sick to consider doing something like that. Personally, I'm too honest. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that. I'm too honest. I'm too honest with, maybe I'm not honest with myself, but honest with other people. I just couldn't do that to another person. It's just impossible for me to do that. My mother never brought me up like that. My mother was always, here I am, this is me. You like it or you lump it. You get it? Yeah? That's the type of person my mother was. She was honest. And believe it or not, she was loved. You know, a lot of people like my mother because she was upfront and honest and straight. So further on, he says, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on subversion instead of elections. Ah, that's interesting. So now he's talking about maybe he's even predicting his own death right here. Maybe he already knew what was going on. Maybe he knew, folks, that they were planning his assassination. His brother, I mean, why on earth would you take out the brother, Robert Kennedy? Very interesting. John Kennedy was killed first, and then his brother, Robert Kennedy, was killed also. And Robert Kennedy, wasn't he the state attorney? The federal attorney? Yes, he was. So I believe that he knew what was going on. He knew that there was a coup. He knew that there was that there was a shifting. There was going to be a shift of elections, a shift of government, but it was going to be done, as he said here. It was going to be done, what did he say? Through secret proceedings. Not by the will of the people. No way. Not by the will of the people, but by the will of the Luciferian. Yes. The Luciferians. That's who he's talking about, folks. He's talking about the Luciferians. Instead of elections, intimidation. Intimidation. Oh, well, don't you get that today? Intimidation. When was the last time you got on an aeroplane without being intimidated? Huh? Who the hell thought that plan up? 9/11. Huh? I'm telling you right here and now, 9/11 is communism. That's what it is. Zionist Jews. Zionist communist Jews. Intimidation. And then he goes on, he further says, instead of free choice. Free choice, that's interesting, you know. You know, I mean, whoever would think that you need another human being to make a decision for you? I mean, do you think that we cannot think for ourselves? Do you think that we cannot protect ourselves? But see, this is the great deception. That is just a socially engineered. That's what 9/11 was. 9/11 was the social engineering of the masses of the globe, the global community. That's the deception behind it. And then he further goes on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system. That's interesting. on guerrillas by night. Do you understand what he's talking about there? Do you know what guerrillas are? He's talking about people who are jungle fighters. I mean, let's take the Vietnam War. I mean, it's very obvious that America couldn't defeat the Vietnamese because this was their country, or that was their country. And I mean, you know, how do you combat something or someone that you don't know anything about? How do you? I mean, look. Let's just take the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The Viet Cong, they tunneled all the way from the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which is the border of Cambodia, all the way to Kuching, which is 25 kilometers southwest. Sorry, yes, southwest. 25 kilometers southwest of Saigon. How do I know that? Because I lived in Kuching for 2 years. And I'm studying the Vietnam War and many interesting facts about, well, I won't go into that tonight, but that's what he's talking about, yeah? He's talking about guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Yeah? Instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system. Okay, so guerrillas by night, so he's just saying that because these societies are secret, because everything is done in cloak and dagger behind a closed door, it's very difficult to know who and what they are. I mean, let's talk about all of these prefabricated terrorists. Terrorism, what is it? Folks, it's prefabrication. Terrorism is a fabrication by military intelligence, secret intelligence agencies. That's what terrorism is. And it's an act, it's a poison. Don't you think that with all of the technology that we have today, that we would be able to avert this so-called problem that we have, terrorism, if it was real, if it was real? Don't you think that with all of the advanced technology, with, you know, with triangling and satellite systems, and, you know, I mean, nothing can be done on your telephone without Google and Facebook. It's almost impossible. Everything is fabricated, folks. So this is what he's talking about. And then he goes on and he says, it is a system which has conscripted vast human and material sources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic intelligence. Wow. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, and intelligence. I'm just going to say he's talking about the deep state. We don't have a real government, folks. Government's bullshit. Doesn't exist. We don't have a real government anymore. I mean, let's Facebook's DARPA. You know, I mean, this guy Zuckerberg. No one ever heard of this guy. No one ever heard of this guy before Facebook. Just popped out of the blue, like Obama. Obama's the same. No one knew of that guy. Barry Sottle. Is that his name? That's his real name. You know, a lot of these people, they just, you know, they appear from out of nowhere, from behind an iron curtain. And that iron curtain is secrecy. It's communism. Economic. So our life, this is what he's talking about here. Economic. Look at this. Economic. Our way of life. Our way of life. Our way of life is under attack. Economic. So he's saying that everything is fabricated. Nothing is normal. Money is fraud. Money is fake. The whole system, the whole financial system, it's a fake system. That paper money should be able to match the gold and silver that is in the vaults of your country for your represented currency, financial currency. I'd like to see every country show its silver and gold, its resources, that measures up to the amount of money that's being printed. Very interesting, isn't it? Let's continue on. Scientific. So even the scientific community, let me just turn this down a bit. This is very loud. That's better. Let's look at this. Scientific and science. Science is fabricated. Science is governed. Science is engineered. For whom? For those in secret societies. For those who think you're the monkey. Yeah? That's what it's saying. And political operations. Huh? Political operations. Huh? How about Australia? Let's talk about Australia. Seeing I'm Australian. My God. Which politician in Australia, in Canberra, has ever been a truly honest politician? I mean, how much money are they on? 270,000 a year? You've got to be joking, right? What about those in US Congress? How much are they on? I heard they're on about 400,000 a year. That's a joke, isn't it? Isn't that a joke? That's unreal. Who on earth needs $270,000 a year? Why would a public servant ever want to account himself to that much money? That's crazy. This is what I reckon. I reckon if you want to be a public servant, you be just that. You be a public servant. That means if you're going to be a public servant, you get paid like a public servant. You receive the same minimal salary as a public servant. I mean, it's just absolute ridiculous, the amount of money that these politicians are making. Unreal. And it's all related to, what did he call it? He said it's subversion, it's invasion, it's intimidation. That's what he called it. Kennedy called it intimidation. These political operations are intimidation. I very much doubt that these politicians get voted in. I don't believe that they're elected. I believe they're selected. Big difference between those two words. Elected and selected. Yeah, elected means exactly that, to be elected, to be chosen, you know, to win a vote. Not today. All right, let's continue on. Its preparations. Its preparations are concealed. Yeah? Its preparations are concealed. Not published. Well, there you go. Not published. Well, who the hell's the media? If Kennedy is saying that's not published, why the hell do we have the media? What are they used for? What is the media used for? Indoctrination, propaganda. That's what he's saying, folks. Kennedy is saying that the media, the mainstream media, is propaganda. That's what it's about. That's what he's saying. Its preparations are concealed, not published. It's the deep state. That's the deep state. Very interesting. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Not buried. Its mistakes are buried. Well, my God, that goes for the old Clintons, eh? How many people have died around the Clintons? Unbelievable. Its mistakes are buried. Oh, well, let's talk about Seth Rich. Huh? The guy from DNC that had all of those emails from Hillary Clinton. And it was all related to pedophilia, to the pedophilia network, to Pizzagate. Huh? So what happened to Seth Rich? What happened to Seth Rich and the thumb drive of emails? I believe, folks, that even though Seth Rich did release certain emails to WikiLeaks, I believe there was a lot more stuff. There was a lot more on it. He had a lot more to expose. And there are, you know, there's now we're just coming up and saying, well, actually the ATF and who was it? The ATF and these are the intelligence agencies, the legal agencies, law enforcement agencies. Yes. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Not headlined. Its dissenters, wow. Its dissenters are silenced. Huh? What are you going to do? Put a bullet in my head? Oh, well. I've heard him say it. Huh? I've heard him say, oh, you know, you get yourself killed. You keep saying stuff like that. You keep exposing this. Well, its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned. No rumour is printed. No secret is revealed. So I think that would be that might be the death decree, you know, or the oath, the death oath that they take in the secret society. It probably means that no secret is revealed. That means, obviously, if you reveal their secrets, you'll go down. And I think that's what happened to Kennedy. And this didn't happen to one Kennedy. It happened to the entire bloodline. I mean, how many Kennedys? How many Kennedys have been killed? You should do some research on this. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the discussion tonight. Put your comments down below, and let's talk about it. Ciao. Take care. Bye-bye.
Do you want to enjoy radio tunes without the